This is Kirill Kaprizov, and after turning down a contract extension that would have paid him $16 million a year for the next 8 years in Minnesota, everyone thought he was as good as gone in mini. But then he said, all right, I'm ready to be a Wild for the right price of $17 million a year over the next 8 years, and that is the largest contract in NHL history in both total money and AAV. When it's all said and done, $136 million will be in this man's bank account. Getting paid $17 million a season is a lot of money in hockey. It comes with a ton of pressure, expectations, and of course, comparisons. With the NHL salary cap going up, we're going to see more and more of these mega deals. Some fans will think this one is a huge overpay for a player who has never played a full 82-game season. However, being one of the game's most lethal offensive players, it's part of why this man just became the most expensive player in the NHL and made history while doing it. So, let's evaluate his on-ice impact and why he's so important to Minnesota and what it means for the rest of the league. Going back to the start of the season, we saw the best version of Kirill Kaprizov. He was in MVP form, and at one point, he led the NHL in scoring. If it wasn't for an injury that required surgery, it could have very well been possible that he would have taken home his first Hart Trophy. Unfortunately for Kaprizov and Wild fans, that didn't happen, but he still managed to have a productive season, putting up 56 points in 41 games. That was good enough for a 1.37 point per game, which is only behind arguably the top 5 players in the world. Then, when he came back for the playoffs, Kaprizov led the way, putting up 9 points in 6 games before the Wild do what they always do in the first round, which is lose. This past season wasn't a one-off either. The previous 3 seasons, he scored 40-plus goals and was one of the most dynamic playmakers in the game. Not to mention, he's done most of this without ever really having a slam dunk first line center. So aside from the numbers, which we all know about, let's actually look into Kaprizov's game and why Minnesota would pay this man $17 million a year. Now, any sign of a great player is their ability to dominate 5v5 or even strength. 42 of Kaprizov's 56 points were scored at even strength last season, and a large reason why is because of his timing and awareness in the offensive zone. Off the forecheck and on a possession change, the Wild usually find themselves in this 2-1-2 structure. 2 forwards deep, 1 forward high, and 2D on the blue line. This is standard for most teams, as it's the best way to work offensive triangles down low for options. Place a player like Kaprizov in this system, and he's frequently working off his line mates to create off the cycle and work the triangle. This play here against Florida is just a wet dream for a lover of offense. Watch him initially hunt the soft spot in coverage against Florida. The original pass is bobbled, but then Minnesota slips into this 2-1-2. And as you can see, Kaprizov thrives in these offensive triangles and give and goes. As soon as he puts it down low to Zuccarello, he attacks the only pocket of space available in between 2 checks. The rest is incredible edge work and vision from Kaprizov to set up the goal. Just dancing out there. And if you watch Kaprizov highlights, you see a lot of these no-look, spinorama, how the hell did he do that type of plays with a lot of success. And while it does certainly look like a little lady luck is behind it at times, it's really about Kaprizov being familiar with the system, offensive flow, and where his teammates should be down low in a triangle. Because Minnesota loves to work off of these triangles, Kaprizov knows that if he slips up high into the high slot to make a play, he knows that he's probably got 2 players or someone on the backside there to tap one home and finish his no-look pass. Now, one thing that really stands out about Kaprizov, especially as a winger, is his awareness off the forecheck. Similar to a player like Mitch Marner, his cerebral instincts are usually cutting off breakouts just with his positioning. But beyond just breaking up the play, he's so damn good at extending it into a deadly chance. Watch here as he steps up as the F3 to cut off the breakout. Solid positioning, gets the puck in his hands, and then peek the edge work here off the wall. He's going to have a little ankle collapse here, flips his hips, and stays well balanced coming out of the traffic to make a play to the point. As soon as he makes this pass, he knows it's going D to D, so he dives back into the space, and look at our boy Kirill all alone. The puck ends up into the corner, and we see the other weapon of Kaprizov's arsenal, which is that shot. This puck is on the goal line. He knows the goalie's going into the RVH from this angle. He says, "How's your year, boy?" and banks it right off the noggin where he virtually had zero room for error. His shot is the element of his game that makes him more than just an elite playmaker. His offensive roots are usually putting him in a very good spots to use that deadly release. And as we just saw, even when the puck is in a bad area, his shot can still be lethal. Of course, though, as a playmaking winger, controlling the half wall in the O-zone is an essential skill. Here he picks up the rim puck with Draisaitl breathing down his neck, and knowing that the Oilers play a box+1 or zone coverage, Kaprizov is going to get this puck and skate down to the corner right away. Now, here he's moved into an area where coverage is forced to pass off responsibility. So now Ekholm has to pressure while Draisaitl backs off. That's going to create a nice seam. Nothing comes of it, but as the play makes its way back to Kaprizov, he's now going to be able to handle the double coverage of both Ekholm and Draisaitl. He turns on the magnet stick, keeps possession, and again attacks the seam between coverage to make the pass. This time, it's a goal. Thank you, Kirill. That's another apple. Now, one interesting thing about Kaprizov is he's actually one of the slower players in the league in terms of skating speed. According to NHL Edge Stats, he's below the 50th percentile in all speed categories. Now, for what he lacks in true separating speed, he makes up for it with his elusive edge work. Here, Kaprizov gets a stretch pass, and once he realizes he doesn't have the angle to drive in, he's going to extend the play by opening up his hips to place himself between the puck and defender while mohawking out of the stop. Now his upper body is to the middle. He can scan the entire ice. The stop-up has bottom time for reinforcements to come in, and it's another pretty apple for the Kirillionaire. Once you watch Kaprizov play, you know he's not burning guys with this extra gear like McDavid or anyone like that, but instead, he loves to draw in defenders with speed changes and then using these 10-2s or mohawks to propel himself out of contact and into open space. Very similar to Sidney Crosby and how he uses his edges to get around defenders. And you mix that type of skating with his playmaking as well. He's straight up making passes quickly into danger after coming out of these mohawks, and it makes him so hard to predict and defend when trying to close those gaps. Now, what also stands out about Kaprizov's game is that even as a winger, he's actually pretty solid defensively. I know that's surprising for some people because anytime they hear a Russian winger, they think that they all adapt the same controller disconnected style of defense that Ovi made popular. But Kaprizov is different. There's no better winger at exiting the zone in the NHL with possession than Kirill the Thrill. The Wild play this hybrid or man-on-man style of defense when the puck is up high in the zone, and that's where Kaprizov's motor thrives. He's aggressive, he hunts down puck carriers really well out of structure, and it's topped off with his awareness to read plays to break up threats. All these little defensive details lead to his possession where he can exit the zone and begin the counterattack. When you put all this together, it makes him undoubtedly the best player on Minnesota, but one of the best wingers in the NHL. This was a deal that the Minnesota Wild had to make. He had a no-move clause, so even if they wanted to trade them, he would hold all the bargaining power. If they let him walk for nothing, that would undoubtedly set the franchise back another 10 years, and I don't think anyone ever would want to play in Minnesota. On top of this, all the team's long-term plans revolve around him. Locking him up a year ahead of free agency eliminates any potential angst, stress, and distraction entering the season. Just ask Edmonton fans how they're feeling right about now about McDavid. Not exactly a comfortable feeling, but there are risks to this deal. Like I said, Kaprizov has never played a full 82-game season. He's had trouble with injuries in the past. Also, having one player take up 16% of the cap has yet to be a proven formula for winning a chip. All things considered, though, this deal changes everything for the league. In a stacked UFA class that includes McDavid, Eichel, Connor, Panarin, and more potentially walking to free agency if they don't sign by the time this season's over. Kaprizov taking the most expensive ticket the game has ever seen means that dominoes may start to fall. Either way, at the end of the day, Kaprizov will for now be the most expensive man in the NHL. And whether the Wild can successfully build a championship team around him is something that remains to be seen. So, what did you think of this deal? Do you think anyone signs for a higher AAV than Kirill the Thrill? If he's worth that, the McDavid's gotta be worth more, but all reports from the McDavid contract indicate that he's leaning towards taking less so that his team can still build a winner around him. Anyways, drop a comment down below and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. The season is basically here. Weekly recaps are coming. We'll have team and player breakdowns throughout the week also, so make sure you stay tuned until we see you in the next one.